Friday, May 15th was a big day for Indian agriculture. It was the third day of announcements by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman when she announced several reform measures in the farm sector. Notably, I could count contract farming, then amendment to the Essential Commodities Act of 1955, and then introduction of a law to allow farmers to sell their produce pretty much anywhere in the country outside the designated mandis as well. I'm going to call in senior editor Arihant Paudia to give his take on what is the biggest takeaway on Friday.
Thanks, Karan. The biggest reform for me, not just on Friday, but I think in the last few decades, is contract farming. And I say this because it has the potential to solve in some of the biggest problems that ail Indian agriculture. Uh, for example, our biggest problem is our farms are too segregated and too small to make any difference. For example, most of the farms, around 85 to 90% of the farmers have less than 2 hectares. So you cannot achieve anything through that. The productivity is low. The scale does not allow you to experiment with it. So that's one of the biggest problem that contract farming will solve, because suddenly you have businesses, corporates coming in and contracting with thousands of farmers at one time, and you know that problem of scale is solved. Second problem that we have is very low productivity, right? And that is also there is a certain reason for that is also because of small farms. So contract farming, what it does is, when the corporates come in, when the big businesses start contracting with farmers, they will also invest in R&D. They will also invest in seed, new technology, efficient water use, efficient fertilizer use. So all those things will start coming in expertise, technical know-how. So that productivity will certainly go up. Third problem that we have is, we have post harvest value addition is very poor. And that is because we don't have cold storages, we don't have warehouses, we don't have that infrastructure, that food processing industry to take care of, to increase the post harvest value addition. So that once these corporates come in and they start investing in all these things, that value addition will also happen. Another problem that we have is, there is very less diversification. We produce too much of too food crops, but very less commercial crops in non-food category. So I think that will be taken care of. Right now, the problem is farmers don't want to grow any other crop that is not covered by MSP, or that is not deemed profitable or even sustainable. But and that is because they get assured price in minimum support price from the government, so they naturally grow those crops. But once the corporates start coming in and they start assuring that you will get a fixed price no matter what, once after the harvest season is done with, so that once that price thing is taken care of, farmers will grow whatever the corporates want them to grow, right? So they will just get their price, so they don't have to worry about the market. So that very essential, and I think that will also reduce the burden of food subsidy on the government, because as MSP will be less relied on, so the government will not have to put more money into that. I think already we spent 1.5 lakh crores, approximately that, to just cover barely 20% of the farmers and very limited number of states. So that thing is taken care of. Lastly, I think what it will do is, we have seen so many farmer suicides and other things. It's also because of this uncertainty in prices. when you grow something, the price is good. When you harvest and sell it to go to the market, the price has crashed. So that once that price thing is gone, then they don't have to, they will be able to repay the loans they take, right? And that fluctuation is gone. So I think this is one of the biggest insurance schemes by default for farmers. Another thing is that due to a lot of money that will be flowing into the private investment will be coming in into, and there is a lot of other agriculture allied activities that will be that this step will foster, that will create jobs. And there is too much of disguised unemployment in agriculture. So some of that will move into these new jobs that will be created, hopefully. So that problem, that is a big problem. So that will also be taken care of to an extent.
Right. Aryan, so that was about contract farming. I would love for you to touch upon the other two key reforms as well. And also, does the economic package really address the absolute urgent immediate needs of the farmer? Could you touch upon these two aspects, please?
Well, first, the other two reforms that are also very important, the amendments to Essential Commodities Act, and I think that this is an act that should be done away with totally. But whatever they have done is, it's okay. It's a good step, you know. But I think it should be done away with. It's a relic of an era where scarcity was there. Right now we produce too much. For example, wheat and paddy. Even after exporting, we have so much of it is left in storages. So that is a problem, and I don't see that as a reform very different from what contract farming. I see it as as something that will help contract farming. For example, if there is a big business coming into the contract farming, contracting with thousands of farmers, you cannot have limits on storage, right? For example, for he will be contracting with them, he will be collecting the produce, he will be storing it. You cannot say that only you can store that much only. That is the essential definition that is there in the Essential Commodities Act. It puts limits on storage and how much you can transport. So it's ridiculous. So it will also be a factor that will help in growing this contract farming thing. Also, APMC reform that has been announced, it is to where the farmer can sell it to anyone in the country across the borders. So barrier-free trade of agriculture commodities. As far as individual farmers are concerned, I don't think it's a big issue, because if I'm getting, for example, if I'm getting a good price in Delhi, it's not so easy for me, an individual farmer, small farmer, to just go and sell it there, because the transportation cost will be so high that I would rather prefer to sell it here. But for big businesses, for people who are contracting with thousands of farmers, they can sell it to any other part of the country if the price is high there. So it's all about, these. I see these two reforms also as a part of helping this contract farming. That will be a big step.